Yeah, there we go. There we go, baby. Look at I'm looking right at you.
There we go.
Look at you. I'm looking right at you in the big screen.
Well, here we
Oh,
are, ladies and gentlemen.
there we
Welcome
go.
back to the Canadian Bro Show. We have a countdown to the Canadian Bro Show for our studio audience members. Welcome back to the Canadian Bro Show. All basketball from the Hoop Junkies, Pauly and Raleigh. Episode 16. Was that the worst NBA All Star game that has ever been presented? I would say absolutely horrific. And I don't know what happened, but I'm going to stop this countdown because we don't need multiple countdowns. But getting back to the show, as you can see on the ticker, we have the best spectacular blockbuster movies for all things Canadian, which is the first iteration of the Canadian Bro Show for those that haven't joined us before. And in the second iteration is the show that you're watching right now. My name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show, and I'm with the co-host with the most, as you can see, Mr. Trent Rowley, my friend of many, many decades.
Melody.
We are doing episode 16, the absolute worst NBA All Star show we've ever seen. And I've been watching NBA for over 50 years and probably 55 years. And it was truly horrific. It was supposed to be a 4 hour extravaganza, and they were talking about wanting to be more inclusive and wanting to showcase players and do some fun stuff and change up the rhythm of the show. They certainly did that. They changed up the entire format, so out of 4 hours it was like watching the Gong Show or some terrible, terrible, hour long game show, and it just ended up being atrocious entertainment. It was pathetic. In 4 hours, there was actually 36 minutes of basketball. So it's one of the reasons why I gave up cable TV 21 years ago, and I got my NBA subscription. So I just watched the stuff that was supposedly entertainment. And honestly, Trent, the only thing I enjoyed at that All Star game, all of it was crap. It was the 3 point contest, of which my man Damian Lillard lost, and Mac McClung, who's not even in the NBA, really wins his third All Star, and he's not even in the NBA. 6'2" Caucasian dude with a 46-inch vertical, and he deserved it. He in three NBA All Star dunk contests, he's taken nine. Is it nine? Three. They get three attempts each
Yeah,
time.
yeah, something like that.
Oh, they get more if they miss, but he's never missed a dunk. He's 9 for 9.
Well,
No,
when you do easy dunks, you don't miss them.
those aren't easy dunks, bro. You must have been high or something. Those were extraordinary, athletic, and difficult. Um,
Propping
if
himself up against the
Trent
guy.
was out in the garage taking care of some business and wasn't really watching the show that everybody else watched. It was incredible. It was
Yeah.
spectacular. It was the only
Castle's
thing that was good.
better. Castle's dunks were better.
I don't think so.
Even though he missed on the first tries. Those
Yeah.
between the legs and behind the back one were better than any of the ones McClung did.
Well, the behind the back one was good, but that wasn't original. I mean, we've seen that before. I'm just saying that my point is without the dunk contest and the 3 point contest, it is the worst piece of garbage I've seen the NBA put together in the history of the NBA. And all of the fluff they put with it. They had one of the best shows on TV has been canceled. TNT, the number one show, and so they said, "Well, goodbye." And the spectacle, they stopped the NBA All-Star game at halftime to present these guys with fishing gear. It looked like it was
Yeah.
it was produced in some foreign country under a budget of $15. It was pathetic. It was embarrassing. And Kevin
Kind of
Hart, what the hell's Kevin Hart doing there? He's nor funny or an athlete. And then the All Star game with the celebrity All Star game, they brought some clown out who's 5 foot nothing, who was telling everybody who would listen that he was going to win the MVP, and he couldn't even play. It was the worst basketball player on the court, and he was a complete nut job. And apparently, some TikTok superhero. Why
okay.
are Why are
Okay.
we wasting our time watching these clowns when everybody wants to see competition? They want to see the best players in the world competing against each other.
Yeah.
None of that happened.
Okay. So now take a deep breath. Have a drink of vino tea because I agree with you totally. It's not worth being this upset about because we talked about it last week, knowing that what was coming.
No, but we hadn't seen
Right.
the show. We were prepping for what was supposed to be an entertaining show, and it
This
was just a pile of steaming hot shite. It was
until
terrible.
until the NBA figures out a way to get John Morant, Anthony Edwards, and players like that to go into the dunk competition. And I'm with you. Sure, it's great that Matt McClung won. Good for him. Kid's like 6'2". I mean, it's pretty impressive. So it's great that he won. But
Three times.
this is where I said on the last episode, it's an embarrassment for the NBA that a guy who's not even in the league is winning your dunk contest. What are you showcasing? Because your best players, the guys that can do those dunks and even better, I've seen John Morant dunk. John Morant would be probably wonderful in the dunk contest. Anthony Edwards probably be so wonderful, awesome to watch in the dunk contest. You know, and there's a few others, right, that I'm going to miss. But those guys,
Jones Jr. in the Clippers, who won it before, he
yeah,
can
but
get up.
I'm talking about players who people know. Not one person. If you would have asked the night before the slam dunk competition, if you would have asked most, even basketball fans, hey, who's in the, just having a random beer, let's say, somewhere, hey, who's in the dunk contest tomorrow? I bet you 80% of the people couldn't tell you who all four guys were going to be in the dunk contest.
Well, a lot of them don't know any of them because they're not watching the NBA anymore. They've lost
Not
like
even that.
millions and millions of fans have
People
just
watch.
given up on it.
The
The
point is,
game
is
is
people
the
watch
game is
stars
taken
ball.
over. The game's taken over by referees making shit calls. We're
The game,
constantly looking at reviews. It's just it's
or just,
falling apart at the seams, bro.
well, I've been telling you this for how long? You're finally buying in.
No, I'm not
Right?
finally buying in. I've been
Well,
watching basketball for 55 years. What I'm
well,
saying is the regression. If you watched last show, if you actually watched the episode, you see that what I'm talking about is the regression of the All-Star game in not just 1 year, but 10 years now.
of course, it's been over a decade. It's been going right to this.
So
Just
you're
like
happy with that?
no, I hate it. But it's again, as I heard one commentator said this week, we can yell and scream at the NBA and the format and all that, but ultimately,
We're
the
voicing our opinions, Trent. That's all we're doing.
I'm saying though is that ultimately the guys who got the game to this are the players. This is on the players' back too. The players don't just get to skirt responsibility and said, "Well, the league did this format." No, no, we're at this stage of this point of of history for basketball because of you guys. This is on you guys too. You have to take some responsibility for it.
So everybody knows that. That's what the All-Star game used to be built on. What has the NBA done in their infinite wisdom or lack thereof in this case, where they go from a spectacular all-star game, which decades it was. I look forward to the all-star game,
Yeah,
and then they do 36 minutes of basketball. Like seriously, I mean 36 minutes. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna
and
watch this garbage for 4 hours and all the crap commercials.
they're not even like real game, like kind of like gimmick, like to 40 points and
It
stuff
was
like.
an embarrassing series of gimmicks.
I just yeah, it's
It's
but the
just a
players have to take some burden, and they never seem to do. They get paid a ton of money, and the league let this get. I'm with you too. Like the wisdom of the marketing people and the people running the league. You help. I mean, it's a team. They're a team. They got this together to where it's at. So you and I, who love basketball, and I was talking to a friend of mine, Blage in Ontario today, and he barely watches basketball anymore because of what the product is. And he goes, and I love basketball. Like I love Dr. J, I love Michael Jordan, I love Larry Bird, Magic. I grew up with all that. And he goes, now I can't even watch a game because they don't play defense. They don't. The game itself is in a real transition period right now, and it's I don't know, man. It's this All Star game though. It was. I didn't even watch it, dude. I watched like a total. Would you say there were how many minutes was played? 30 some minutes.
36 minutes total of basketball.
Okay. Well, I watched about five. So I could have cared less. I went and watched women's college basketball. I went and watched something else that was way more
Well,
entertaining.
that's my point is that's what everybody's doing because it's just not worthy entertainment.
What's the worst? Their ratings were like terrible. Like, I mean,
So it
the,
backs up the title of the show, obviously.
it was the worst in over 30 years, Paul. The actual ratings, television ratings, I believe. I
Yeah.
actually might have saved the picture I took, but it was like it was bad, like really bad.
Yeah. Well, that's why I put the title up. I just
Perfect.
honestly I was so shocked I could not believe it. And it's one of the reasons why I gave up cable because it's just so much crap rotting the TV. And
Yeah,
Netflix. Just on a side note, Netflix is raising and Canada is raising their rates again for so you don't have to watch commercials and if you've got more than two people, they're raising it to $32 Canadian. I'm like, you know,
yeah.
they just raised it twice in the last year. Like
Inflation.
and it's one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast. We're providing people with free entertainment, commercial free at this point. Even maybe I should do the commercials, try to make some money.
Well,
But I
maybe you know
can't.
what? I'll start wearing my Lakeland brewery gear. I'll tell Colin about it, saying, "Hey, I'm representing you on YouTube. I got 40 subscribers."
Yeah, I mean, they could maybe show the show live when it goes on YouTube. They could show it at one day a week in the bar at a certain time
I'll get you. I'll get you one of those big hats. You know,
uh,
as a payment.
as a payment. Okay.
Hey, those are
Yeah.
sweet hats.
So aside from the show being a complete debacle and the NBA should be embarrassed because it was just so tragically embarrassing. We do have a lot to talk about with regards to basketball, and we could go on about how bad it was. But if you haven't seen it, don't even bother.
Yeah, if it's
The
on
three
TV,
point contest was good. The skills challenge was okay, and the dunk contest was okay. And aside from that, it was I appalling. I could not believe it. It kind of like a lot of the basketball I've been watching. Like it's only it says the All Star Weekend, but it's really an All Star Week, and the players really need it. They get over their injuries.
right?
It gives we've come after a big trade situation. Players time off, so it really gives everybody an opportunity to just get away from the game and relax, and whatever you do. You know, uh, you've got one situation, NBA players on their days off, you know what a lot of them are doing. They're probably at home and listening to some music or gaming and smoking a blunt because it's legal. And they're allowed to perform in the NBA, doing legal activities. Unfortunately, also in the NBA, if you're involved in illegal activities, you can get penalized extraordinarily excessive by the same people that put on the clown show that is the worst NBA All-Star game in the history of the game. Let's talk about Bobby Portis.
No, no. Let's before you jump off the All Star game. Just the last point I'd like to make about it
Okay.
is the other thing that hurt them as well. I know you're not as big a hockey fan as I am, but the NHL instead of an All Star game did a Four Nations Cup. So Sweden, Finland, Canada, U.S.
Hmm.
Well, the Canada game on U.S. game last on Saturday night. There's three fights in the first 9 seconds. U.S. won 3-1. It was, I mean, everybody's pumped up. Well, they played last night in the final for the
Yeah.
tournament. Canada beat them in overtime. The
Yeah.
ratings,
Yeah.
the NHL doing something like that had a lot of the NBA guys on talk shows and stuff going, like, why can't we get NBA players to play this hard? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
put nationalism into it, right? You know how those guys are going to play. It was like so much fun to watch. And that didn't help the NBA when basically this was their All Star week as well. They just chose to do this tournament instead of a traditional All Star game because their All
And
Star as well
yeah.
is shitter. It's
No,
terrible.
it's a really good point, and of course, I am not a fan at all of the clown, the rat that is the rat clown show that is the guy that runs the NHL, uh, and that Silver has dropped even to a lower echelon than that guy. And you're absolutely right. It was a great show. It
Oh,
was a great performance. It was exciting, Brand. It's fast paced. It's really truly one of the greatest sports in the world. And as you said a couple of episodes ago, people don't realize this. You asked an Americans, they think America basketball is an American sport and Americans invented it. No, no. As you mentioned before, hockey was invented by Canadians. Lacrosse was invented by Canadians.
Remember
Basketball
in
is invented by Canadian.
football,
The CFL
yeah,
is invented by Canadian.
before
You
the
know,
NFL.
what's that?
The CFL is actually older than the NFL.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
I
mean.
realize. And the other
Yeah,
thing, the last thing, and we'll go to because the Portis thing is crazy. Like
it's just
you're on fire
so
today.
so.
So
I woke up and I lost two of my centers like instantly.
yeah, we're gonna get to that. Finishing with the commissioner thing, like Bettman, people don't realize too is that David Stern, Gary Bettman was David Stern's right hand man, and then that's how the Heat turned
Just
into
don't even say his name. It's
Let me
Gary Ratman, in my
so,
opinion.
so, so David Stern, Bettman worked under David Stern. Then he got the NHL job, changed all the divisions and everything in the NHL so it'd be like in the playoff format, so it'd be like the NBA. Well,
Mm,
David Silver worked under Gary Bettman and David Stern.
mm. Oh, big
Adam,
surprise, eh?
it's
Big
just
surprise.
it's just that you know what we talk about nepotism. This is just as bad. People complain about DEI. Well, people are just
I
being hired for their job.
I have another phrase for it of which I'm not going to say on air.
You don't
Um,
say it. We'll get canceled for sure.
uh, I honestly, it's just so.
Let's go. Yeah, but I mean, it is crazy. And like I said, you're on fire today. So go ahead, go with the Bobby Portis thing because that's nuts. Like,
Yeah, so I wake up and I get up early because I usually do my 8 fantasy teams, and I've been having a very difficult year. Normally, I breeze through it, and this year, I usually played 12 teams, and now for some reason we only got the option of having 10 player teams, which really those extra 2 players, those spots, you need it in the NBA because players are taking nights off. They're taking family issues. I have a migraine. Some guys are so soft it's worse than cheap margarine, and the guys are injured. A guy I watched a game before this game to see if I could get some inspiration, something positive, and it was the Bulls game against the Knicks last night, and the first half was it was a jack show. It
yep,
was everybody was jacking threes, and honest to God, the shooting percentage was less than 20%.
NBA
It
today,
was
right?
clank, 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 and then they're saying it's a fantastic overtime thriller. Well, maybe in the second half, but
Yeah,
if you watch the first half, I wouldn't watch the second half. It was guys cannot shoot. I watched a Charlotte game the other day, and it was incredible. They were at one point 2 for 23
just
in
keep
the
chucking.
just keep chucking, taking terrible shots, and terrible players taking terrible shots.
We got to give
Uh,
some love to Peyton Pritchard last night. You went and picked up Beasley. You should have picked up Pritchard with eight
well,
threes last.
just let watch Peasley go off tonight.
Okay,
Don't try to please. I got enough problems with my Yahoo fantasy teams. I woke up and so Bobby Portis, his assistant, his professional assistant,
yeah,
because he's suffering from an elbow injury, wanted to give him this drug called it's like a painkiller, but it's a loud painkiller called Tropicol, and I guess it just helps with the healing, or you can't feel the pain as much. And again, it's a painkiller. It's not a performance enhancing drug. It's the opposite. You wouldn't play basketball by taking these drugs. Well, the moron, and Bobby should have just fired him because he's getting no pay for 25 games for taking a drug that is banned from his assistant who didn't look at the label correctly and gave it to him, and now he doesn't get paid. You know how much money he loses for 25 games?
yeah, yeah. You just sign him to leave.
Millions.
Yeah,
Millions. And by the way, 25 games for a non-performance enhancing painkiller? Are you kidding me? They smoke marijuana in the NBA, and that's a painkiller. Trust me. It's not performance enhancing, that's for sure.
no,
Unless what's that?
no, no, it's
No.
not.
So, I mean, and it just kind of blows me away. I don't know what's going on. I love basketball. I love our podcast, but watching this All Star game and seeing what's happening with the refereeing and the viewership dropping like flies, and it's really bizarre, Trent. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time. over 50 years we've been basketball fans, and both of us have never seen this kind of carnage before. And it's destroying my favorite game in the world. I might have to
Yeah,
go back watching hockey.
you should. It's a great game.
Yeah, it is a great game.
But yeah, it's
But
unfortunate.
Bobby, unfortunate. It's way too extreme. And then you look at the cat that got he got bounced from. He's now with Milwaukee, the guard who was with the Clippers, and he got nailed with
Man.
a. What's that? No, Trey Man's clean as a button. It's the
Oh,
junior guy, the flashy
oh,
kid,
okay. Yeah, yeah,
and he got nailed with a performance enhancing. He didn't get a single game. Like how can you do that? And then you give 25. It's just it's obscenely excessive. And Bobby Portis, he handled it so well. He went to his fans and his teammates and his family, and he apologized with the deepest of sympathy, which I believe. And it was an honest mistake, but it was a mistake that he didn't make. His assistant did. But of course,
yeah.
his assistant gives him the wrong pill because he didn't look at the prescription. By the way,
Probably,
one is a prescription, the other isn't. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Probably, probably one of the, probably a family member. So I mean, they're probably not that bright. So who
I don't
knows?
know. I don't know. But he's paying them. He's probably paying them a good salary, and it's very tragic. And I just think the decision is over the top.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't.
And
I mean,
And seriously, if a guy has a blood clot, deep thrombosis is a very serious, from what
yeah,
I understand, a dilemma, and it can be depending on where it is. And the
yeah.
last NBA player to have that had it in his lungs, which is far more dangerous. It can cause a serious heart attack, or it can go up to the brain, and you can have a stroke and die as well.
An
Uh,
aneurysm and dying spot, dude. I
I
mean,
know
basically,
instantly.
can't
I know, but
get
and so it's very serious. But to
right.
just to take Wemby finds out that he has it in his shoulder, and of course in the NBA they're traveling at 30,000, 40,000 feet all the time. And if you're not wearing compression socks and you're not taking care of yourself, it can happen to anyone. He's a very young, intelligent man, and he has it in his shoulder. Is it worthy of him losing the remainder of 30 games? I don't know. I don't know, but it's very serious. And a lot of people are like, "Oh crap, I drafted him on my first pick overall because
Mhm.
all the fantasy experts told me that he was number 1." And at the end of the day, he's not number 1. The number 1 player in the NBA right now is quite obvious,
Yeah,
and that is the Serbian destroyer, and
but
that is the Joker.
let's not minimize that. It's like there's still a human here. That it's not just fantasy. And
I feel for him, but really, I just think it's excessive. I don't think you should just automatically say you're done for the remainder of this year.
yeah, it could be. Maybe he comes back before the end of the year because they just
Well,
said this. Almost right. I mean,
yeah, I mean, is that a possibility? I guess maybe it could be. I have no idea. You just don't know anymore with the NBA. They
it
just
sucks.
seem to play. They
Those
seem
two.
to.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It sucks because like we talked about before the show, like those two teams, we talked about them last week. San Antonio's right on the bubble of the play-in game, and Milwaukee's right in the thick of it in the East. And now they're going to lose those two players, right? And
Yeah.
so that there isn't an effect there, not just fantasy
Oh,
wise.
there is effect, and the effect is that the Spurs will now they'll just pass on the remainder of the season and go
No,
for
no,
the Cooper
no.
Flag sweepstakes, and Milwaukee is got to find a center that can take over. But I picked up a backup for the Spurs when Wemby went down. I was so upset. I went out and picked up Bassi, who
Oh, why didn't
who
you
had
snag?
what's that?
Why didn't you get Bismack Biombo?
Are you kidding me? Have you ever seen him play?
Yeah, that's why I said you pick him up.
He's like a 6'9" wet noodle with hands, rock hands. Guy
Crazy
can't even
athlete.
he
Oh,
oh he is, but he can't even catch. When he first came in the NBA, you throw him the ball and he couldn't even catch the basketball with two hands. Like, are you serious?
There's plays when he was with the Raptors. You'd just be like, "Come on!" Like just
Like,
because he's just such
seriously,
an
man. What a stiff. What an athletic stiff. And he's a nice guy. He's a nice
athlete.
guy.
He's
But
athletic.
Charles Bassey is he's a six. He's 6'8.5", about 245. And if he's close to the rim, he will throw it down with either hand. And he had the same injury that Gafford suffered, this hyperextended, partially torn ACL, which it's healed. and he is supposedly playing tonight.
No,
It's good because they only have one other player in the roster that could even play the center, and that is Ski. I can't even say his name. Skeetishvili, the big 6'10". I think he's either Russian or Ukrainian. But he's pretty good. He can fill the stat sheet. But at the end of the day, the center position in the NBA, if you're a fantasy basketball player, is the weakest position in the NBA, and it's very very difficult. In Trent, in we play in Yahoo a 9 league fantasy right now. Trent is on the precipice of rolling into second place, perhaps even first. He's
no,
playing
first.
well. We'll see what happens on Monday. But in the meantime, Trent, did you want to transition? Do you want to talk about Wemby's feelings before we move on?
Wemby's feelings? Yeah, he's probably not feeling very well.
No, he's probably really upset because he's a competitor and he cares. He's the type of player we as fans we want to watch.
Yeah, when you bring up the fantasy part of it and the center part, that's where I have Duran, Zubac,
I was going to give you kudos. I was getting there.
definitely.
Your three centers, and you've drafted all three of them, and you
Yeah,
didn't give up on Duran when he was having a very brutal first quarter of the
well,
year.
because I was with you. You and I talked about him, and it was like, man, I'm doing okay. I'm in the middle of the pack right now. Just stay with the guy. Just because if he
Yeah,
gets the minutes, it's a double double every game, like
yeah,
every. And he'll throw in like out of the blue. That guy throws in like 4 or 5, 6 assists in a game.
yeah.
It's out of nowhere.
And he's
Like,
getting occasional block.
it's the occasional block. I'd like to see more of those. Obviously, even as a fan, you'd like to
Yeah.
see him be a better rim protector as a big guy because he is a massive human being for
He
his
is
age.
he is probably and he's built like a statue. He's just incredibly ripped, and he's
So
just so young. What is he? 22?
he's like a puppy dog. He's got big hands and big feet, and he's still
Yeah,
trying to figure out his body. And look at what he's doing right now.
that's a
He
good
is
point.
just a crazy athlete. Gets up and down the floor for a guy that size. Almost a smaller kind of version of a young Shaq in LSU.
Yeah.
Just not big, but gets up and down the floor like just an athlete at that position, which
Well,
is
and let's while you're talking about your big man and the success of your team in our Yahoo Fantasy, because we play under the same banner, the Canadian Bro Show banner. So if one of us wins, that's great. Both of us can't win, but we can both come in the top three.
yeah.
That's a possibility, which would be great. And Trent could win because I think he has a better team than I do at this point, at this stage of the year. But talk about your surprise big man and his continued emergence is really incredible.
Well, Zubac, right, as well.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, he's had like a multiple 20 rebound games this year. And Jared Allen is a regular. Once in a while, he throws in a big game, but
yeah,
overall, he is standard 10, 12, and anywhere from 12 to 14 boards every night, and a couple blocks. That guy every night.
yeah,
He never has a real bad game. If he does get double figures, he gets 10 points.
yeah,
But there's some games he gets a little, but he's always getting in that double digit rebound, always a couple blocks, and then so he's the steady one out of those three. It's the other two, Duran and Zubac. Either given night, those two guys can grab 25 rebounds, right?
yeah, yeah.
And when I look at our matchup right now, like the rebounding, I mean, outside of we're close in blocks and steals, and outside of you maybe getting the percentages, I don't think you're catching me in the rebounds, the points, and the assists. Like it's I just those guys that rebounding, my guys are, and I've got
Well,
a lineup tonight, and you've got like you're missing guys.
so the reason why I brought this up for fantasy basketball players is
Yeah,
in the beginning I woke up and lost two of my important pieces to
yeah,
two of my important teams, and those are gone for pretty much the remainder of the year. And it's devastating because if you don't have backup
yeah.
and he's not injured, he's just removed, you're scrambling to find somebody to fill those minutes, and of course nobody's going to fill what he does on the court, that's
No,
for sure. And so I'm glad I had four centers when Wemby went down because I believe in always having lots of centers, especially centers, because you get your blocks, you get your field goal percentages, you get your rebounding,
steals
and steals, yeah, and if you get a big man that can shoot foul shots, it's hard to find.
and a high field goal percentage, right?
That's what I said, the field goal percentage. Yeah, very important. And
We before we drafted. So before we
and
drafted, the Heat, you brought it up. You said
yeah,
here's a three different strategies I go with,
Yeah.
and one of them was centers, and that's so. And we once we talked a bit, I kind of went, yeah, you know what? If I can get some guards, and I mean, try to get the big men out of the way, and then try to find a bunch of small forward, power forward guys that were multiple like double position guys, right? And
Which you
that's
did.
how I went about it. I went about the big man part when we were talking about it. I was like, I'm going to try to see if I can, because
Well,
Duran was one of the guys I picked up that you were like, damn you, because you're about to pick him just before the next pick, and you're like, ah. So that was one of
actually,
them.
Trent drafted ninth. I drafted 10th. So what are you going to do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So
no, I mean that I've been lucky. I mean, you got Lillard out tonight. I noticed. So and
one person into another every single day. But the difference between Trent and I, he has one team, I have 8. So the frequency of injuries is much more prolific, and it goes onslaught. And these players are so soft in the NBA. Everybody's taking games off. But do you want to go to we're talking about fantasy? Do you want to talk about fantasy basketball prior guests
sure,
in our waiver wire connected?
disconnected.
Well, actually, it should be called disconnect now. But
Okay, there you go. What were you doing with your mic there?
well, I'm just trying to figure out what the hell's going on here.
Well, you were fine until you started messing around. Can't hear you. I can't hear you, bud.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so this is the third time the schedule has been a little bit wonky, and that 2 weeks are put, 1 week's put into spread into 2 weeks, and that is very challenging to do because the All Star game is really 7 days. But if you're looking at because Wemby went down in San Antonio, and if they can't find a replacement outside Bassi or Skidishvili, who they have on the roster, both of those they have on the roster, I have a feeling that the coach is going to go small ball and play a bunch of 6, 7 guys, and so Jeremy Sohan, who has been injured and is coming off the bench currently, was their best rebounding big, if you want to call him a big. He's 6'8", 6'9", I believe. They might play him at center now, go small ball because you've got the almost the rookie of the year, who's been playing well. He's 6'6". You've got a bunch of guys that are like 6'6", 6'7" that can score and shoot. And
Yep.
if you watch their most recent game, they won and it was very effective. And they played and won without it. And so I think small ball could be an option. It could be their only option. I don't know what they're going to do when they play a team like Cleveland, who's got 2 7-footers.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe play zone.
you still got to stop DeAndre Fox from getting layups or getting
Well,
into
nobody can stop him. He's like a blur. He's probably one of the fastest players in the NBA, right?
the lane off the wing with the ball. It's just so
And
quick.
and the reason why Trent mentioned that is because yes, we're talking about San Antonio, but it's also on Trent's team.
Yeah, you gotta love
Yeah,
him.
yeah. To Trent, say you got to love Trent. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, well,
Um, the,
everybody.
the the next guy that people are been flirting with, I've only picked him up once this year. I just found him underwhelming. I don't think he's quite there yet. He's a classic example of what I do wrong in fantasy, where I go after a guy like this and I think he's going to perform now, but he's really 2, 3 years away from superstardom or at least stardom. And that is Tumani Kamara with the upstart Portland Trailblazers. Of course, they're down all three bigs, they're down. And so they're going to have to play Tamari at center, and he's like a buck 90. So I don't know how that's going to work out. The next guy, Stefan Castle, right now in the running for Rookie of the Year.
Hmm.
I think Khalil Ware will probably get it if he continues to start and play the remainder of the year. Zach Edey, I thought in the beginning of the season might be there, but he just doesn't get the minutes. And anyone else that you can think of that's a rookie that's really been playing well that you can even suggest?
No, I mean, No,
Yeah,
no. I
there
mean,
isn't. There really isn't anyone.
I
Um,
mean, yeah, because the Atlanta. Well, I like the one Atlanta kid, but he's got some growth.
Ricochet. Yeah, he's nice. He's
He's
nice, but
got to mature, right? But
no,
he's
he's a couple.
nice.
He's a couple. He's a couple years away too, Trent. I think. The next guy who I picked up in our league was Malik Beasley, who is really having a career year and is a prolific 3 point, probably one of the best 3 point shooters in terms of. I'm surprised he wasn't invited to the 3 point contest.
Percentage.
Actually,
Yep.
was he?
Yeah, no, but percentage-wise, he's one of the better ones right this year.
Yeah, he should have been invited. I mean, they had Cade Cunningham from his team that shoots 34% from the
Yeah,
three, but
yeah,
he is a big rock star. So, anyways, Beasley's a good pickup. He's a good streamer. He's a good guy to fill in. If you've got 3, 4 games left in the week and they've got 3 games, he's going to get between 4 and 6 threes made.
yep, yep,
And the next guy's been playing really well, and it's about time. I'm happy for him. And since he got traded, he's bounced around a little bit. I don't think teams have really given him an opportunity. He's very young, but certainly the coach of the 76ers has given him a run, and that is Quentin Grimes.
yeah, yep,
Grimes in the last 6 games is playing incredible. He's putting up percentages across the board. He's getting the minutes. He's getting high usage, and his confidence is coming back.
yeah.
So he could be an interesting one. Another guy I just picked up today because I used all of my remaining uh, for
So,
this
so,
week. Well, just for the weekend, right? Just to get through the weekend. I want to stack my team as much as I can. And even if the streamers are giving me 10, 12
yep,
rebounds, a couple of blocks, and 8, 9 points, I'm happy. And good percentages and can shoot foul shots. I'm happy. But Jose Alvarado is the only guard on that franchise that's really a point guard.
yeah.
And he's a flash of light, and he contributes. He gets 2 steals a game. He gives you 6 assists. He's playing 30 plus minutes a game, and a lot of people don't talk about him. I would take his assists and the fact that he gets steals and threes, and he's going to get high usage and high minutes. So again, he's a streamer. He's going to be a utility guy, but he's a guy that I pick at. And I was going to take Peyton Pritchard, who would be my next
Right.
because I flirted with him. Both you and I have taken him and dropped him and taken him and dropped him. He's a great pick because when a guard goes down on the Celtics, he always gets big minutes. And he had
Yeah.
28. He had 28 last night with 6 threes.
Eight threes
Um,
left.
he had 8. Well, see what I mean? That's incredible.
Eight
Um,
threes.
it's incredible. And then another guy who had 6 threes is Royce O'Neal with the Suns. He's been
I've had
playing.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is. I've picked him up and dropped him more times than I could admit. Um, and and he had an incredible game. He has one great game in a month, and then gives you eight
Exactly.
points. And but he can hit the three, and he shoots from the field barely 40%, but he shoots 40% from the three. So I can see why he's appealing to many. And he plays D. Like he
Yeah.
actually plays both ends of the court. The
Yep.
next guy I'll talk about, Trent already picked him up. I picked him up a couple of my teams. Max Christie, he was included in the outrageously terrible. The Dallas Mavericks just got absolutely pillaged. And but they did get Max Christie, and they did get a first round pick, and I believe a year subscription of Popeye's Louisiana spicy chicken. They initially had KFC, but I guess everyone thinks that Popeyes is better. I do too. I really love Popeye's spicy chicken. I don't know where that came from, but I'm craving some fried chicken right now. It's not the healthiest thing in the world. And last but not least, my Spanish 7 footer, who for 21 to 22 minutes a game, nobody puts up stats like Santi Aldama,
Right.
7 footer with the Memphis Grizzlies. He comes in the game and will hit threes, dunk on
Yep.
you,
Yeah.
rebound, block
He's a
shots, drops dimes. He hit some spectacular. He's got some crazy junk in his arsenal too. And he's
Yep.
just a really nice chap and a great locker room presence. And it's one of the reasons why that young team is one of the best and most exciting teams to watch in the NBA.
Yep. I
And
agree.
that's my waiver wire unconnected update.
So my pickups, I would say, I picked up Max Christie within a couple of games after that trade. Just going, there's
I
guys
did.
like
I just mentioned that.
so. No, you mentioned that you picked them up.
No, I said we both picked him up. I said
Oh,
you picked him up in our league, and I
so
picked him up on 2 of my other teams.
my problem is right now in that league is You have I got Andrew Wiggins, who is healthy and can play tonight against the Raptors. He's on my IL, and I'm not sure how long they let you keep a guy in IL if he's not hurt. I've never done Yahoo before,
Well,
so
they miss it. They miss it sometimes, but no more than 3 days.
well, he can stay there for now then,
Yeah.
because I'm now in my dilemma. So people who watch this program, thank you for watching first of all,
Thank
but
you.
the people who are watching, you want to give me some help here. I got Christie, I got Wiggins, I got one of the Thompson twins from Detroit, and Keegan Murray from Sacramento. I have those four players. Once I'm told I have to get Wiggins off the IL, somebody's got to go, and I'm not even touching Christian Brown from Denver. He's not touchable. He's played well this year for me. He's steady. He's
A-
a good
a-
game here and
And
there.
and and Westbrook is back.
And Braun's still going to get minutes, even with Westbrook there. And
Yeah.
he's been consistent. Even when Westbrook was there, he was consistent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm almost tempted that uh, it seems like out of all the trades, yeah, it takes time to transition and figure out everybody because there's new people. Like I mean, it's going to go on with the Lakers. It's going on in other places. I don't know if that Murray fit is. Well, the other guy's DeAndre Hunter. I mean, he's like disappeared now on Cleveland.
Well, only one game.
Only one
He's
game. Two now, but he's sat out. Like I mean, it's going to be DeAndre Hunter. You know what? I'll put DeAndre Hunter back out there, Paul. We can collude right now because nobody that we're playing with is watching this show for sure. We can just collude. I'm going to dump DeAndre Hunter. You can pick him up. You're first in the waiver wire.
I'm
Good.
not. I'm not using my first waiver wire pick on a guy like Hunter. Sorry, I'm waiting. I'm waiting
So,
for just before the playoffs started towards the end of the season, with 10 games remaining, where some guy's in last place that just gives up and he dumps a bunch of players on the waiver wire. It happens. It
well,
happens
that
every year.
shouldn't be allowed.
Well, they can do whatever they want. It's their team.
There should be a certain date though that like just like a trade deadline that you can't.
Yahoo's never done anything about it in 30 years.
And it's not real then. It really is
Well,
fake.
it's real if you have the first round waiver pick and some 20-10 guy drops in your lap. It's very real,
No, for
and
sure.
I'll use it because out of my 8 teams, I'm in first. I've got the first pick and waiver on 3,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna by the end of the year I'm gonna have 4 or 5, and I'll be the first pick because other guys just keep on taking it. Right now, I'm trying to, because of how many we're only allowed to pick up 4 players in a week. I'm trying to drop players and then wait for players to come off the IR,
No. Yeah.
because I'm already used my 4 picks, right?
Right.
And so I can't pick up until 12:01 on Monday morning, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
But
You're
Trent,
probably up. You're probably up waiting to do it too.
believe me, I am. What about any of the what about the recent trade situation? Have you noticed anyone benefiting or not benefiting or having just bad luck um,
I don't
in
know.
the
I think
trades?
I think DeAndre Fox in San Antonio is obviously a fit. I think with the young talent they have, he's still young. Wemby's young. Um, you know, I think the position that Chris Paul has now behind him is where he should be at this point in his career,
Yeah,
anyways. So
yeah.
it's good to have that guy from on your bench. Uh, I don't know. I think the one guy who I found and I want to give a little love to this episode is he's on a crappy team, but man, ever since they dismantled the Bulls, Josh Giddey is playing just like spectacular right now. That guy,
So
I wish he could shoot better, but holy moly, like he fills every stat box.
he
Like,
he went off last night.
yeah, but he's been doing really well since the trade
Yeah,
deadline. He seems
yeah,
like there's some more focus there. It's amazing that they were able to trade him. Like it's crazy to know how good Oklahoma City is, and they got rid of that guy,
yeah,
right? I
yeah.
mean, guys, yeah, that GM's on another level.
Yeah. The way he played last night, he had 27 points, 16 rebounds, 9 assists, missed a triple double by 1 assist, and he had 2 steals, a few deflections. Actually, shot the ball fairly well. Hit a couple of threes. He was playing fantastic.
I haven't
Um,
seen. How was you? Maybe you could tell me because I haven't noticed it. I'm just kind of looking right now. Is how how's Valanciunas fitted in with Sacramento?
Well, he's there. I don't know.
Or,
I don't know what it is with him. Nobody seems to play him more than 15 minutes in a game, maybe max 20. And so that's what he's playing because really at the end of the day, Sabonis can hit the three. So I see them playing more together and clugging up the middle because he is a ginormous man. He is
long
uh
arms.
he's
Yeah.
7 foot, he's got long arms, he's 275 pounds, he looks menacing. And yet they only play him 20 minutes. But I think it's a good pickup. Personally, I think he would have done a lot better on the Lakers myself. And I was watching the Lakers in the Charlotte game and to see Mark Williams
Yeah.
playing and effortlessly getting up and down the court without any problems. You
Yep.
wonder why the Lakers rescinded that. Maybe they felt that they gave up too much for him. And but at the end of the day, their doctors have autonomy, and they can decide, and they don't need to answer to anyone. They don't need to answer to the CBA, the
Yep.
NBA. They they made that choice for whatever reason, and then they go ahead and waive Woods and pick up another 7 foot stiff and Alex Len, uh,
Yeah.
who who the Kings were going to let go anyways because they knew they were going to sign Valanciunas.
Yeah. Yep.
So strange.
It's just yeah. So I think what happened in Sacramento with that trading Fox, it's really highlighted that uh, they're kind of DeMar DeRozan's become the closer there, not Fox.
Yeah,
So um, I love his game. I like that he's kind of an old school kind of soul with the game that he has with the mid range game that DeRozan has.
yeah,
Uh, but I don't know where Murray fits in there. They've changed a lot. They need some time to, I think, figure it out. Other
yeah,
teams
yeah.
sometimes figure it out faster. Like Golden State, they seem to be, Jimmy Butler is kind of because he's happy now. Seems like they're playing fairly well, right? So they've got a
That's
3 game lead now.
Jimmy's $120 million happier.
Like they have a two, like yeah, they have a 2 game lead. The Golden State over Phoenix for the last play-in spot. Like Phoenix could actually miss even the play-in. Are
Right.
you kidding me? Holy!
Well, hey,
They,
do you want to talk about the Eastern and Western? We didn't talk about it last week because of the
no, because of the wonderful All-Star game.
yeah, wonderful. What
let's
a
stay
joke.
let's stay positive. We don't need
It's no,
that.
I'm extremely positive. I'm just extremely upset, and I just can't understand I can't understand what's going on, and I need justification.
Yeah,
If you're a complete moron, okay, there's the justification that I need. But if you're not a moron
yeah,
and something moronic happens, it's like, are you kidding me? Like now they're really messing with my brain.
yeah.
It drives me nuts because Trent and I talk about this all the time. I win the lottery. I'm going to go buy a franchise in the BBL, the British Basketball League, and I'm going to call up Trent and I'm going to go buy a house in the home franchise of where I am and invite Trent and his wife to come live in the manor. And Trent will be the general manager, and I will be the owner and president, and we will run that franchise the way it needs to be run. We'll win championships in the BBL for the remainder of our lives.
That
And
would be
then I woke
wonderful.
and then I woke up and I realized I was drooling.
You woke up in the bed.
Dream
So,
big, kids. Dream
yeah,
big,
so
anyways.
very big. So standings. Let's first of all, this is Friday, so Paul might release it tonight. But if not,
Probably
doesn't matter.
tomorrow.
Some good games tonight. Knicks and Cavaliers are playing tonight.
Yeah,
Wolves and Rockets are playing. Kings and Warriors. So there's some good games tonight. But
yeah,
standings wise, again, Cleveland, they're 5.5 up now on Boston, and Boston looks like they're playing a lot better.
yeah.
Like
They are.
they seem to have gotten it together. Boston, honestly, they rolled Philadelphia last night. Oh,
Well, both teams that you're talking about, Cleveland's on a 9-1 in the last 10 games. Boston's
yeah,
8-2, and Boston's 40-16, and Cleveland's 40-10. They're
yeah.
basically running away with it at this point, with the Knicks trailing them just by a couple of games. And
Yeah.
then then it breaks down into the middle with about 7 teams, right, Trent?
Yeah, and the Pacers have really picked it up at least. Like that was the team that I was on at the start of the year, saying they're fun to watch, and
Yeah,
yeah, they were pretty good last year until some injuries,
yeah,
and they're 8-7-3 in the last 10. They're in
yeah.
that fourth spot now ahead of Milwaukee. So
That's right, and they're 15-8 at home, and they've been playing really well at home. And their defense is They've
Yeah.
got pretty good defense now that they're healthy.
Yep.
They've got a nice combination of good defense, and they picked up a couple of bigs to back up the middle that have been playing really well. The big kid, he looks kind of dorky.
Yeah.
Um, what's that?
Sneaky athletic. Like they're sneaky
Very, very sneaky, and it's funny. He's very quick. He's very motivated, and if you look at his size of his feet, I swear he's got no larger than size 10 shoes. So I think that's why he always falls over a lot because
athletic.
he's all hustle and everything, but his feet are so small, and he's a
Yeah.
7 footer that I guess it's really hard to stay in balance.
But I'm
Um,
saying even their team is sneaky athletic. They
yeah,
don't they look like a lot of they're not they're long and they're quick. And like you
yeah,
said about their defense, right? They
yeah,
play D. Halliburton's finally playing a lot better basketball. Like the
yeah,
way he started last night and the way he finished, it was like okay, like
yeah. When
uh
he got injured again, I saw him limping. I was like, oh, another hammy. He's gone 20 more games. Great.
great. He hasn't got hurt for me. He's only missed a couple games for me this year.
Well, it's
So
because
no,
it's your luck, Trent. You have
uh,
you have one of the few teams I've ever seen that hasn't had really any injuries.
and
Bankera was the only guy that you had injured, and who would pick up Bankera in the fourth round? Nobody was going to pick him up in the fourth round. You did, and it paid off.
he was going off too, and he was
Well,
playing so well.
he's having his best year.
And then the other team that's surprising because we thought these guys would slowly kind of fall back but I think part of it too is goes to show you the Eastern Conference is pretty weak. Is Detroit? Detroit's in sixth spot, man. They're like 29-26. They're 3 games over 500.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, 6-4 in the last 10. They're playing. I mean, they play again. They're young.
yeah,
I'm not a big fan of their coach, but they seem to be winning.
yeah.
So, but they're a team that's surprising, and I think Orlando's finally getting their feet back from all those injuries. They kind of slid a little bit when one of the Wagner brothers got hurt and Banchero, and
They
now they,
both got hurt. Both
yeah.
both Wagner brothers got hurt.
So I think they're kind of starting to play back to kind of where they were playing at the start of the year.
Yeah.
They're a team that I would not want to play because they're so heckling. Like they're Jekyll and Hyde, man. They're one game they're world beaters, and the next game they get blown out by 30.
Well,
It's
they don't. That doesn't happen to them because they're one of the best defensive teams in the league as well. They play great defense.
They do. So, and then after them, you got the Heat, the Hawks, the Bulls, and then the Bulls are in the final play-on spot. They're a couple games ahead of the Sixers. And then you have obviously you got the Wizards. The Wizards are in the Cooper Flag, their front seat right now for the
Yeah.
Cooper Flag sweepstakes. Although the kid from Rutgers is,
Which one? Ace Bailey?
yeah, he's making some noise for being Player of the Year right now
Yeah.
too, being
Yeah.
a number one pick. He is playing out of his mind at
Yeah.
Rutgers. And then so in the East, I don't know. I think the Heat are probably gonna. They've actually seemed to uh, righted the ship a little bit. I think they're an average team. They're not winning anything, but I think they'll probably end up staying in the playoffs. I could see them being in that 7 to 10 spot with
Yeah.
Atlanta. I mean, all those teams are within a couple games of each other.
Yeah.
So, and then do this. I guess the one question would be, I mean, I know Brooklyn's there with 20 wins, but I don't think they're getting there. But do the Sixers get there? Do the Sixers get into 10th spot? Like, do the Sixers miss the playoffs with the roster they have right now?
It's hard to believe. It depends. It depends on how Big Africa holds out.
I mean, Paul
Right? He, he,
George.
play, he plays 2 games and sits out 4.
Paul George has more podcast episodes than he has games played for the Sixers. For God,
Ooh.
like it's brutal, man, brutal. So yeah, so, I
That's
mean,
it.
it's
That
you
is
know,
so true, though, eh? Oh my
it's all
God,
brutal.
and they gave him a quarter billion.
Oh my God, if the Sixers miss the playoffs with 0, they are in trouble. Like they're it's not, and I mean,
It's
yeah,
embarrassing, Bill.
sad. It's such a great old franchise, the Sixers, man. I mean,
Yeah,
that was my
it really is, especially with the East, and you've got Boston and the Knicks and all of those games that we watched in the 70s and the
yeah,
80s and the
yeah,
90s. And
yeah.
the battles these guys had were really impressive. And it would be nice to see that
Yeah.
again. And
Well,
it's,
we see it in the West. We see it in the West, my man. At least
we certainly do transitioning to the West.
the Western Conference is a nightmare. That's a
Yeah.
gauntlet right there, man. I
Yeah.
mean, Oklahoma City with 44 wins. You know, the Nuggets are just on fire right now.
Yeah.
They've won 9 in a row. Like, they're playing out of their minds. Jamal
And
Murray showed up. It's like, holy Captain Canada
yeah,
out of nowhere here. Like, he
yeah,
went off.
and they're healthy. They've got Porter Jr.'s back. They got the big dinosaur in the middle, who's playing well, and his calf contusion finally seems to be healed. Russell Westbrook is back. He really helped them.
Yep.
Your kid Brown has been playing great. They've got a couple of guys on the bench. They've got and of course you got the big man. You've got the best man in the. Honestly, if he doesn't win I know you want SGA to win the
I do, but
MVP. He's not. He's the second best player in the NBA right now. It's not even close. The Joker is
I'm with you.
absolutely. He is one
Crazy.
of the. He's one of the best big men I've ever seen in my life. He's
Yeah.
so incredible.
The numbers that he has in points, assists, and rebounds, he is the fastest to those numbers in his first 7 years or 8 years.
Well, they're
So
saying he's the only player in NBA history to be able to have what he's done in a very short period of time with points,
yeah,
rebounds, and assists from
crazy.
his position. No one's ever done it.
No, he's unbelievable. He's so much fun to watch. He's
And
just
he's
such
and now he's shooting threes this year, and he loves that spot at the top of the center, eh?
off the angle there just a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just a little.
So then you
But
got
Denver
Memphis.
played,
I
yeah,
mean, Memphis is. I mean, again, they've been playing well. They're
yeah,
6-4 in the last 10, but and then you got the Rockets. So
yeah,
I'm hoping Anthony Edwards. Well, I hope he plays as a fan. If he doesn't play well, it helps me in fantasy because he's on your team. Um, but as a fan, I'd rather see him playing. Uh, I like real life more than I like fantasy. And
yeah.
then,
Ant Man's got dealing with a bit of a hip pointer, and that can be really a tough one.
but the Rockets, man, we again at the start of the year, there's a team. We were kind of the opposite of the Pacers. The Pacers, we were going, what in the heck's going on? They're playing like dogs. And the Rockets, we were going, what the heck's going on? These guys are playing spectacular, right? Well, they've been able to
Yeah,
maintain it pretty much. So,
they have.
excuse me. Um,
Gesundheit.
Yeah, so they've been able to maintain it. I'm not surprised now that I've got to see a couple of their games, like watch them a few times. I can
Hmm.
see why they're doing well. They play a really good brand of basketball. Very team oriented. It's fast.
And you're not mentioning one key thing that their all-star point guard has been injured quite a few games now,
Yeah,
and they've been playing without him, and they haven't missed a beat.
no, Sangoon is awesome. Like he's such a good young player.
That being said, in the last 10, they are 3-7, so they lost
Yeah,
6 in a row at one point.
but they're still 34-21, right? They've done like, and then you got the Lakers. They're right there. They're
Yeah,
11 games
Lucas,
back of Oklahoma
yeah.
City. So, but
And they rested. So when Luca got traded in that just obscene trade, which of course I'm a Lakers fan, so I was quite happy. When they weighed him and he did his first photos, he looked like he was drunk. He looked like he smoked 3 packs of cigarettes that morning because his teeth were all black, and he looked terribly out of shape. And so they weighed him. He was 270 pounds when they weighed him, and he should have just at least shaved and cleaned himself up. He looked really awful. And then in just a week later, they weighed him, and he's down to 250.
right.
So he's lost 20 pounds in a week. And I figure in another week, if he can get down to 230, then it should be good because he looks so slow, man.
Yeah, he
Like,
does.
oh,
Yeah, and hasn't been shooting it very well since he got there
chucking
either.
it,
Like
just
just
chucking it. But it doesn't stop. He's not scared of shooting. That's for sure.
it definitely is not. No, he definitely is not. But so the Lakers are going to be there when in the playoffs. I mean, the Clippers, when we talked a couple weeks ago, they seem to be on a bit of a downturn, and
Yeah.
they've kind of picked it back up now with Kawhi's playing more regularly. I mean, again, drives me nuts that the guy's hurt, but when he
Yeah.
is healthy, he's such a good player. He is such a good player. I
And I
mean,
think the sneaky pickup, his first game with the Clips in fantasy, they have him as a point guard and center. There's only 2 players in the NBA that have that distinction. And I think in his first game off the bench, and Kawhi wasn't playing, of course, that's the big thing. He had 12 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 steals, and he looked like a perfect fit for the Clippers at 6'10", as a utilitarian type of player, even playing center when Zubac comes off, because they really don't have another big that they could count on at the center position that I'm aware of. But I'm not a fan of him at all. I'm just saying it was a sneaky pickup and it could benefit them.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the Mavericks. I mean, injuries, right? Still have Anthony Davis. They're saying is a couple more weeks. So Kyrie's gonna
2 weeks, yeah.
PJ is maybe playing tonight.
PJ
Uh,
has to play tonight at 6'8". They're going to play him at center
so
because
Dallas is in.
they
Dallas is in,
traded away Maxi Kleber. They got the
right.
Canadian center that's injured, so they had 5 centers. They had
Yeah.
6 actually. Traded
Right.
away Kleber. The kid from Stanford's injured. Lively's injured. Gafford's a couple of weeks away. He says that he didn't need surgery. It wasn't a tear. It's just a hyperextension. So he could be back in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. PJ's got to be back tonight. They're going to play small ball. They have no
Yeah.
choice.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think Dallas is on that bubble of. I mean, there's teams right now in the West, like when you got the top echelon teams, with those a lot of wins. But where the Clippers are in sixth at 31 wins, you got Minnesota's at 31, Dallas at 30, Sacramento at 28, Golden State at 28, and Phoenix at 28. I mean, you have 5 teams there within a couple of games of each other, right? Like
Phoenix
it's
is at 26, but they're on the bubble. They're 2 games
yeah,
behind Golden State.
yeah. So I
And
mean,
then San Antonio, you can pretty much write off San Antonio. You know they're going to go to the bottom and try to get the best percentage of getting the Cooper flags. Can you imagine Cooper flag and Wemby?
Washington has 9 wins. They ain't getting to 24. San Antonio's already surpassed Washington. Washington ain't getting 24 wins this year.
No, no.
So
And the Jazz, the Jazz they're gonna sit Marketing, they're gonna sit Clarkson, they're gonna sit Sexton, they're gonna
and the
sit
Pelicans
everyone. They're gonna play Filipowski, they're gonna play Collier, the rookie,
got
and
New Orleans too. So I mean,
yeah, he's really actually quite impressive.
I mean,
He seems to be a true point guard, but again, they always say you're a true point guard when you can't shoot the three. So we'll see how that progresses.
and they're competing. Utah's still competing with New Orleans to be the crappiest team in the West. So I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm not sure who's worth. I think New Orleans is a better team
yeah.
than, or pardon me, the Jazz are a better team in terms of talent. But with Danny Ainge running the show, you know what he's going to do. He's going to sit everybody down.
And so we should give our home team a little love. Is Brandon Ingram playing tonight?
No,
Oh, yeah,
the ankle injury that he did in early December.
yep.
They're playing him slow because they want to tank as well, and they don't want him to re-injure. The fact is, if you look at how many games Brandon Ingram has played since he's even before the Lakers, the guy is lucky to play 35 games in a season,
Such a
and
talented.
he is so talented. He's built so well, but every time I see him, he looks like he's so wrecked. It looks like he gets up and he's waking bacon and he's smoking blunts and he's just sitting on the bench so high. And it's just, I don't know if he's got sleepy eyes or what, or maybe he is baked because you're allowed
Uh,
to do it.
I think he's just
Um,
got sleepy eyes, but yeah, it's definitely.
yeah, I think it's a combination of both. I think he has sleepy eyes and it's a great excuse to smoke a blunt first thing in the morning.
The Raptors are 17 wins, so they are what they are. Basically, they are what we said they were going to be at the start of the year. So
The Raps, a lot of people say they have one of the worst coaches in the NBA. They have no depth. They didn't draft particularly well. Some of the trades they made, they really didn't get much in return.
yeah,
It's almost like they were trying to tank from
yeah.
the beginning. But they've had a lot of injuries as well. Let's face it; they've been decimated.
Quickly's barely played. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
listen, he's only played 12 games the whole year.
And their starting five is with Ingram there is kind of pretty nice, right?
Well,
So
I'm watching the game tonight, so let's see what happens.
yeah, but
But
yeah, that's probably what I got for the
okay,
standings. And
awesome, good job, Trent. I think we'll just wrap it up. We're at 1:03, almost 1:04 right now. Just wanted to say to everyone out there, thank you kindly for joining us again and staying with us and be
through through the technical difficulties.
yeah, through the technical difficulties. They are technical difficulties. It's the
That's
technical
right there.
difficulties. Yeah, in my brain. But it's also this EV Mux web-based software that I use for this channel is very good. The person that, however, that's the founder, director, and host of the show is sometimes not as good as maybe the actual software. So I'm still learning it, and needless to say, we've done 30 episodes and now 16 on this. So 46 episodes later since May in 8 months. I'm really proud to do that. And I just want to say thank you for everybody. We've grown about 7% in the last couple of months, and we have now 40 subscribers, which is really incredible. Yeah, it's baby steps, and I really appreciate. And there is across all the analytics on Studio and the back end of this entire channel. I look at it every day. I am showing there are showing positive things. So for all those out there that have watched it and sticking with us, we do have quite a few repeat fans. We really appreciate it, and tell your friends and keep
Yeah.
on watching the show. Trent, it's really nice to see you again. How cold it is in St. Paul right now? Freezing?
Okay. 0.
Oh, that
Yeah.
that that went that changed quickly, eh?
-45 a day and a half ago to 0 today. So
Wow. Well, I'm up my new listing up at Silver Star in Vernon. I'm up there tomorrow for open house on Saturday and Sunday. It's supposed to be raining in Kelowna for the next few days, but in the meantime, thank you everybody for watching. And please, if you have time, if you enjoy the content, we ask you to please subscribe, like, comment, share it, talk to your friends and family, and we really appreciate the patronized and the fact that you're paying attention. And Trent and I and the rest of us at the Canadian Bro Show really appreciate it. And in the meantime, we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to say toodaloo. Have a great weekend. This episode 16 will be up probably tomorrow, which will be Saturday in the West Coast. I'm in Kelowna. Trent's in Alberta. He's on Mountain Time. In the meantime, thanks again. My name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show. And the lovely chap to my right, or to my left and your right, is Trent Raleigh, the co host of The Most. Trent, thanks again. And we'll see you soon.
yeah.
All right. Take care, bro.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Ending the broadcast now. Peace out.